All right, here on the surface of the sun, which is also known as the state of Mississippi, right smack dab in the middle of what feels like the desert right now. It is absolutely blistering hot here in Starkville, Mississippi. This is Robbie Falk. This is Talkin Dawgs. We have been long overdue getting back on here on YouTube and talking to you guys about some Mississippi State sports. Not going to do a live chat right now. We're going to try to get back into that. Just been a little too busy. But today we're going to talk a little Mississippi State football as fall camp is raging on. It doesn't feel anything like fall right now. It feels like the hottest summer in the history of summers as we prepare for another big football season inside the SEC. So just got done with a media session with Zach Arnett. We've talked to him a few times already this fall. Biggest takeaway from Zach Arnett so far is the guy is as prompt as it gets as far as the media viewings are concerned. Oh, the wind kind of taking us there. I walked in early and he was already sitting there waiting on the media. So this guy is super prompt and I'm sure just absolutely thrilled to be talking to the media. But he gave us as much as he possibly could on the progress of the team to this point. Just got done with a scrimmage on Saturday. They had the first scrimmage of the fall, and from all indications, it was kind of an even battle between the two sides of the ball. Offense and defense both had their moments. It started out with a flurry on the defensive side of the ball, lots of turnovers, lots of stops in the backfield, sacks, things of that nature. Then the offense started to get going a little bit. Will Rogers had a good showing there at the end, ran the football really well from the reports that we've gotten from people that were there, and it looks like it was kind of an even keel scrimmage, and that's not anything coming from Mississippi State side of things. That's things from people that were watching it. They really did take away that it was kind of an even scrimmage between the two sides of the ball. So that really tells you that both sides are kind of even right now. They're both showing some moments of strengths and some moments of weaknesses. It would be a little concerning if they came out and it was just the defense dominating the whole time, or it was just the offense scoring a lot of touchdowns. Right now you're starting to see the offense come around a little bit. I mean, you're talking about a team that the defense is going to be ahead of the offense at this point, at this stage in the game. You got a brand new offense. You got a few new faces there. You got some offensive linemen that are trying to figure things out. You got a quarterback that's running a brand new offense. You got some new running backs, some wide receivers that are trying to get into their roles as well. So you expect the offense to kind of have some hiccups here early on in the fall. But I think we're starting to see the progression come for that group. The defense, you want them to be ahead. You got so many 5th and 6th year guys on the defensive line and at linebacker that are starting to come through. And I apologize, these vehicles are coming in and out. They just got done with practice over at South Farm, and the equipment trucks are coming in, and guys are coming in and out here. So you're going to see that right now. But the defense, I think, is obviously ahead of the offense for obvious reasons. You have the defenders up front that have been here for 5 or 6 years. You have the linebackers that have been here for 4 to 6 years, some of them. So there's a lot more experience there. There's a lot more familiarity with Matt Brock at linebackers coach going to the defensive coordinator, and the system is the exact same. You didn't really lose anything. But one of the biggest takeaways that we've seen so far from the defense is, in talking to Zach Arnett, talking to Matt Brock, they're willing to adapt. They're willing to play to their strengths. If they need a 4-man front, if they don't feel great about the linebackers and they just want to go with 2 linebackers, which is what they've talked about, possibility of running a 4-2, they'll run it. Zach Arnett's not afraid to do that. Matt Brock's not afraid to do that. That's a really good sign, I think. You're talking about a coach that's willing to adapt, and sometimes that isn't always the case. Sometimes you don't have a coach willing to adapt to the players. Sometimes a coach wants to fit that square peg in a round hole. And so we're seeing a little more of that coming from this coaching staff than what you might see in the past. That's something that I think is really exciting for Mississippi State moving forward. So, am I in trouble?
No, I was going to hold that control on you again.
This is what media relations at Mississippi State will go through. My friend Travis over here, who's going to hold this tripod. There you go. I appreciate you, Travis. Mississippi State will go above and beyond to help you out. So, anyway, Zach Arnett basically really kind of he's a guy that is never going to be satisfied fully, but I think he's seeing his team get better and better. I think he likes the effort of his team to this point. Mississippi State has come out and been a group of guys that has been excited. They've been out on the field. They've been ready to play every single day. He hasn't had to coach that, and I think that's a really good sign for Mississippi State, because you can work on some of the other things. You can work on kind of the intangible things. You can work on quarterbacks, mechanics, things like that. But you can't work on effort. That's something that has to be kind of instilled in these guys, and they've got it. So I think that's a really good thing for Mississippi State to this point. One thing I did want to say too, Mike Wright is a guy that's picked up a lot of good compliments from his teammates, from people that have seen him play as well and seen the progression that he's made. He's really growing as a passer, and I think that should be, as a State fan, you should be really excited about that. A guy that came in that was known as a run-first guy at quarterback, you need him to be multiple. He's going to have to throw the football a little bit in this offense, and if something happens to Will Rogers, you need Mike Wright to be able to step in and do his job and perform at as high a level as Will Rogers. And so far, we've seen that progression. In the spring, there were some moments from him, but it just wasn't very consistent. From the little we've seen of him this year, from what we've heard from people that have been at camp, he has really jumped probably as much as anybody in that quarterback room so far, and that's a great sign for Mississippi State. And you got that guy next year too. So he had a good scrimmage, had some really good moments coming out of the scrimmage as well. So that was big for Mississippi State. Hearing good things about the running back room, a lot of depth there. I think Jaquavius Marks has a chance to have a huge senior season, a guy that's really been slept on around the SEC at running back. But the depth that they've built there, with Kevon Lee coming in from Penn State, with Jeffrey Pittman coming in out of junior college, Seth Davis is having some big moments in practice and in the scrimmage so far. It's a room that's got a lot of depth and a lot of talent. So you saw some big moments from them in the scrimmage apparently. Wide receiver groups coming together. Creed Whitmore is a guy that we've been hearing about a lot in the first few weeks of the fall. We saw him in the spring. It's going to be impossible to keep him off the field. True freshman. It's hard to get in that rotation as a true freshman. And it's hard for a lot of guys to get on the field right away as true freshmen. But he is a guy that since the spring has impressed consistently. And I asked Zach Arnett about that. And he talked about the fact that, Creed is a guy that's picking things up quickly, comes to work every day, and that's important. You got to have that consistency every day. That's one of the things Mike Leach always talked about, is having that consistency, and Creed Whitmore is a guy that's doing it. So, guys like Creed Whitmore and, maybe potentially Seth Davis and, obviously Keelan Crimmins at punter is going to have a chance as a true freshman to play. Isaac Smith. There's some freshmen that are starting to jump off, and then there's some that got here late. They got there later than some of these guys in the spring that Arnett said on Monday, they're obviously having a little bit more of an adjustment at this point. And those are the guys that you can bring along slowly, and we'll see how they go. But so another good day of camp apparently. They continue to work here at Mississippi State. I'm just sweating right now just standing here. And I've been standing here for almost 10 minutes, and Travis behind me is just standing here sweating bullets at this point. We haven't been wearing pads. I haven't been out in this 100-degree weather over at South Farm wearing shoulder pads and helmets and things like that. So I really feel for these guys, but they're putting in the work. They got to put in the work to compete in the SEC. But for everything that we've heard at this point, Mississippi State is coming together as a team. It looks like a team that's going to be able to contend in this tough division. And we'll see how that goes. A few more days of practice to go. Camp's got a couple more weeks before they start preparing for game week, and Mississippi State gets ready for Southeast Louisiana. So we'll continue to keep you updated here. Don't forget to go check out the site. Tons of content is coming out. Right now, we got Zach Arnett's transcript probably being posted as we speak. I got some video on there as well on YouTube that you guys can check out. Steve also videoed some video that we got that's going to be on that article, so you can check that out. We've had practice observations all throughout camp coming every day from Paul. David Burry's got our practice notebook. So just full team effort. We got a ton of stuff that's been filtering out over every day of practice. So make sure you're tuned in over there. If you aren't, be sure you're subscribed to the website. But I appreciate you guys. If you aren't subscribed to this channel, go ahead and do that now. I appreciate that in advance. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. We'll be back pretty soon. I'm going to try to figure this thing out and try to get another live chat going. But until then, hope you guys have a great rest of the week. We'll catch you down the road.